Quis us Deus? Quis us Deus? Quis us Deus? Michael, Michael. There is an ancient line of 7 churches stretching 2,600 miles from Ireland to Israel. Each site has traditions about St. Michael, the archangel, prince of the heavenly armies, highest of angels, first of the seraphim. These sites have stories from the early centuries of Christianity of how the angel Michael came to these distant sites and gave instructions that churches be built there. The existence of this line, something that should not be, of disconnected people in the collapse of the Roman Empire, building a 2,600-mile straight line of Michael churches, is a wonder and a mystery. What is an angel? One must begin, as everything does, with God, the ultimate source of all that is or ever could be. In God's overflowing goodness and love, He created the world, the stars, the universe, and life. He created not only that which is seen by humans, but vast realms of the unseen. The ancients understood that there was a great chain of being, a divinely ordered hierarchy stretching from the highest spiritual realities to the lowest forms of matter. At the bottom were minerals in inanimate matter, which had form but no life or spirit. Then were plants, alive and capable of growth, but in static forms. Above them were the animals, a dynamic form of life, and where there were first hints of intention and choice. Even within animals, there is a hierarchy. From the humble ant to the noble kings like lions. Above this was the human, created in the image of God, made of matter, but filled with spirit, a bridge, a halfway between heaven and earth. But what is above man? Of course, God, the unspeakable infinite, the causeless cause, the love that moved the stars. But in the great chain of being, there is a middle category of spirit, lower than God, but higher than man. These beings of pure spirits like God, pure intellects, but still creatures, still creations. The existence of these spirits was not only a hypothesis out of the logic of the great chain of being, but also the experience of holy men and women through history. In time, these spirits were most often called angels, coming from the Greek, meaning messenger, as this was most often their role in the Bible, an emissary of God. Although spirits without body, they often were portrayed in various forms to represent the aspects of their nature. Wings presented the fact that they were from higher realms, capable of ascent. The halo is a symbol of proximity to divinity. The sun, ever a typology of God, the radiant light that gives warmth and life, but is too blindingly bright to be beheld directly. In the Trinitarian God, there is an eternal perichoresis, an eternal dance of love between God the Father, His Word, and His Spirit. In the pattern of this image, God created creatures that were not merely puppets or playthings. These creatures stood in their own given dignity, free and capable of real relationship, real love with their Creator. He did not desire slaves, but sons and daughters. To be capable of real love, a profound freedom, to both accept His love or reject it, was given to His creatures. The story of humanity's choices are well known. But even among the angels, this freedom exists. Some would rather have their own way, rather than the sacrifice of self entailed in all real love. Lucifer, a high angel, exalted himself over God and demanded other angels join him. One angel rose in challenge to Lucifer, who asked the simple question, who is like God? Which in Hebrew is Michael. In this one humble question, Michael forever shamed the pride of Lucifer, and he earned his eternal name, Michael. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. The angels, also known as demons, without the upward pull of God's love, having fallen into the black holes of their own ego and collapsed souls. In eternal bitterness, they rage against all creation. As St. Augustine writes, the angels are not light in themselves, but they are illumined by God, who is light. If they turn away from him, they become darkness. In the Bible, the archangel Michael appears as a powerful defender of God's people and the leader in spiritual battle. In the book of Daniel, he is described as a great prince who stands guard over Israel. In Jude, Michael is shown contending with the devil over the body of Moses. Most famously, in Revelation, Michael leads the heavenly armies in war against the dragon, or Satan and his angels, casting them out of heaven. Across these appearances, Michael is consistently portrayed as a guardian, a warrior, a heavenly champion of God's people. As defender of Israel, Michael is the special defender of Israel's fulfillment, the church. Skellig Michael, Ireland, a rugged island monastery off of Ireland's Atlantic coast, the very edge of the known world at the time. Settled by monks in the 6th century, the monks considered Michael the patron of the island. It is filled with beehive huts, clinging to rocks jutting out of the ocean. There is no space to grow food. The monks survived off of fish and fowl, often found mysterious gifts of food on the food-rationed island. After 100 years of being menaced by Vikings attacking the island, often resulting in the death of hermits, the monks prayed for the intercession of Michael. Their prayers were answered when one of their own, an Irish hermit who had lived on Skellig Michael, baptized King Olaf of Norway, king of the Vikings. St. Michael's Mount, Cornwall, England, a tidal island crowned with this medieval abbey. It is linked to legends of St. Michael appearing to the local fishermen in the 5th century, instructing them to build a church upon the site for protection. Mont Saint-Michel, Normandy, France. A structure that looks as if it should not exist upon this world, the towering abbey rising from the tidal flats on the Atlantic coast. Founded after the Archangel Michael appeared multiple times to a bishop in the 700s, commanding that a sanctuary be built, one of Christendom's great shrines, a place of spiritual power. Sacra di San Michele, Piedmont, Italy. It is reported that Michael appeared before St. Giovanni the Hermit and was instructed to build upon the site. The site was nearly inaccessible because of its high, mountainous terrain. In the intervening years, there have been numerous stories of Michael's intervention to protect the locals from invading armies and plagues. A fortress-like symbol of St. Michael's guardianship, Mont Sant'Angelo, Gargano, Italy. A cave shrine dating to the 5th century, where Michael is said to have appeared several times, and instructed that the cave be committed as a church. It is the oldest sanctuary in Western Europe dedicated to the angel, and is a site of centuries of miracles. Exorcists often consider rocks from the site blessed with Michael's presence. On the island of Simi in Greece, a seaside monastery famous for its icon of Michael, pilgrims come for healings and for the honor of the angel's protection. Stella Maris Monastery, Mount Carmel, Israel, high above Haifa's coast, a Carmelite monastery dedicated to Our Lady. Although this site is not named after St. Michael, Mount Carmel was the scene of the spiritual contest between Elijah and the priests of Baal, a scene of angel and demons in conflict. If one continues just a few miles south along the same line, the final terminus of the line, one reaches the Valley of Megiddo, a place more popularly known in English as Armageddon. Revelation 12:7. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast onto the earth, and the angels were cast out with him. The tip of the sword of Michael is Armageddon. In the year 590, as a plague ravaged Rome, Pope Gregory the Great led a solemn procession above Hadrian's mausoleum. He saw St. Michael sheathing his flaming sword upon the top of the mausoleum, a sign that the plague was ending, and it did. From that vision, the fortress was renamed Castle San Angelo. Centuries later, in 1224, St. Francis of Assisi received the stigmata on Mount Laverna. Accounts describe a vision of a seraph, the highest of angels, bearing Christ crucified, some linking this vision with Michael, the archangel of the divine encounter. And across the ocean in 1631 in Mexico, a native convert named Diego Lazaro reported an apparition of Michael, revealing a miraculous spring of healing water. The shrine of San Miguel de Milagro remains a place of pilgrimage and faith to this day. In 1884, Pope Leo XIII collapsed after a mass, shaken by a vision of Satan challenging God to destroy the church. Satan would have 100 years of reign, a century of blood, lies, and apostasy. In response to this vision, the Pope composed the famous prayer to St. Michael, "Defend us in battle," a prayer still recited today. But one must never be so foolish as to believe that merely because they are unseen, they are unreal. Much that is the most real, even in our world, is that which is unseen. Many moderns can easily imagine powerful alien entities from other worlds, vast realms of unexplored cosmos, or freely yield to invisible realities such as mathematics, or speaking with disembodied intelligences such as AIs. But they find the angelic difficult. The human is a contingent creature. We did not have to exist. One could imagine a world without us. Angels are also contingent creatures. We are freely and gratuitously created by God. The existence of any contingent creature is never self-evident. Knowledge can only come from encounter. The Lord spent up to 25% of the Gospels dealing with angels or demons. The angel Gabriel announced his birth, and an angel announced his resurrection at the tomb. And St. Michael, through Christ, finally cast down Satan at Armageddon. Saints and common people in the millions through history have stories of encounters with angels and demons. In the Old Testament, Jacob had a mystical dream of a great ladder reaching up to heaven. Upon it, he saw angels ascending and descending into the world to protect, guard, and guide. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Ora pro nobis. Michael's feast day, September 29th.